This video presenting how to add and subtract whole numbers is the first in a series of free GED math preparatory videos. In the description down below the video is a link to the entire playlist and also a link to exercises, practice problems that you can use to test your skills in this topic of adding and subtracting whole numbers. Also has complete worked out solutions so that you can see the details of how the answer is achieved. Please like and subscribe to this video, to this channel, so that we can promote this free resource for people who need more help with GED math prep. Thanks. Now, we're going to start this video with how we talk about large numbers, small numbers. All numbers have place values for where the digits are. So let's start there for a minute. We're going to spend some time here talking about this. So this is 2,347,569. So this is the ones digit. This is how many tens you have. You have 6 tens, 5 hundreds. This is 7 thousands. This is for 10 thousands. You might see it as 10 written out this way. This is 100 thousands. Because sometimes they'll have you round, and they'll say round to the nearest thousands, round to the nearest millions. So you need to know what these place values are so that you know. Notice that as we move from this rightmost to the digit to the left, it goes up by multiplying by 10, right? 1 times 10 is 10, 10 times 10 is 100, 100 times 10 is 1,000. So each time we move a location, we're actually multiplying by 10 to get to the value of the next digit. Now, let's start off by adding 529 plus 406. Now, when we do this, you may have learned, depending on when you went to school and where you went to school, you may have learned that when you add two numbers together and they go over 10, that you either exchange, they may have used the word exchange, or they may use the word carry to carry anything over that digit's location's value to the next one. That probably did make sense. Let's try one and see how that goes. So 9 plus 6, we're going to start right here and try to add, lining up our ones digit, we're going to add 9 plus 6. Well, 9 plus 6 is 15, which is 5 ones and a 10. So what we end up doing is writing the 5 here and carrying the 1, 10, this 10, to the next column where 10s belong. Okay, I acquired a 10, so I carry it to the next column. So 9 plus 6 is 15. Write the 5 down, carry the 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. 5 plus 4 is 9. So the answer is 935. Now, let's try another one. You always line up the ones. Sometimes to do that, I'll actually start with the ones and write backwards like you just saw me do. Here we go. It doesn't matter if you go 7 plus 5 plus 4, or 4 plus 5 plus 7, or you can even go 7 plus 4 and then add 5. You just have to add those last 3 digits together. Okay, so I'm going to add going up just because I want to. Okay, so 4 plus 5 is 9, plus 7 is 16. So I write the 6 down and carry the 1. All right, 8 plus, I'm going to start and add down just to be different. Okay, you can always add down, you can always add up, you can just change it to keep yourself entertained, whatever it is you want to do. So 1 plus 8 is 9, plus 4 is 13, plus 8 is 21. So now we have 21. So what we're going to do is write the 1 down and carry the 2. So 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And this 2 back here on the left, plus nothing above it, is just 2. So it's 2,616. And you can put the comma there, which just helps you kind of count how many places you have. Now let's talk about that 2,616 for just a second. And let's talk about rounding. Okay, so when you round, you probably heard something in the past that says if the next digit is 5 or bigger, you round up. If the next digit is less than 5, you round down. Well, what does that look like? Maybe you've forgotten, it's been a minute. Okay, so we're going to round to the nearest 10 or tenths. Sometimes they'll say 10, then they'll say, let's round to the nearest tenths. Okay, well, here's the tens location. So what I do to keep my eye focused on what I'm trying to do is I underline what it is I'm looking for. So the 1 is the tens, and I look at the digit to the right. So 6 is bigger than 5. So what you do is you look at this number. If it's 5 or bigger, you round up. Okay, now what does that look like? The 2 and the 6 in the front are undisturbed. We're going to round the 1 up, that make it a 2, and then the 6 gets replaced with a 0. Anything after the rounding up and rounding down location gets replaced with a 0. All right. What if we wanted to take that 2616 and this time we're going to round it to, let's say, I don't know, let's round it to the hundreds. Okay. So round to the hundreds. Okay, here's the hundreds location. I look at the digit just to the right. The digit just to the right is less than 5. So we're going to round down. Now, what does that mean? Okay. You would think that if it was, sometimes you think if it says round down, we should go to a lower number. That that does not what that means exactly. So it doesn't affect this number. It doesn't affect this 6 right here. So we've got the 2 and the 6. It means we're not going to change that number. And we're going to round it down by changing the following numbers to 0. So the whole number itself rounds down, but this digit that we were rounding to does not change down. Okay, maybe we need to make a list. In math, as you go through any math course or this series, lists of how you perform activities is very helpful. You memorize the list. You don't memorize how you do a particular problem. You memorize the list of steps. So let's talk about rounding. Okay, so when we round, we're going to locate the required digit. So if they want you to round to the hundreds, you're going to find that. If they want you to round to the thousands, you're going to find that. I locate it and I designate it with an underline. So I would underline it so I can keep my mind on what I'm doing. Okay? 2, we look at the number to the right. We don't look at every number past that one. We look at the number immediately to the right. Okay? Then if it's 5 or bigger, we round up. If it's less than 5, we round down. All right. Then any number to the right of the required digit replace with a 0. All right, and this digit is this one. All right, now rounding up means to add 1 to the required digit. And rounding down means leave the required digit as it is. Okay, so let's look. Let's go back up here, see if my list is working. It's said to round to the nearest hundreds. I located it. I looked to the number at the right. The number to the right is less than 5. I'm going to round down. So I leave this number as it is. Everything to the right of that goes to 0. Now what you do not do is to look down here at this number and say, oh, that's bigger than 5. No, you look only at the digit to the right. I hope that helps a little bit. Now, because when you take the test, if it asks you to round it, they will probably have the unrounded number there and the rounded number, so you have to know which one they're actually asking for. Okay, let's find the sum of 3,419,128 and 18,928,789. So when they say the word sum, that means to add. Okay, so 3,419,128 and 18,928,789. Be sure you line these up with the ones over each other right here. Okay, 8 plus 9 is 17, so we write the 7 down, carry the 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, added to 8 is 11, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 7 is 9. 9 plus 8 is 17, write the 7 down, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 9 is 13, carry the 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 8 is 12, carry the 1. This is 22,347,917. I just, never seen a number in my personal experience for anything I did that big. All right, but it's good to be able to manipulate numbers. All right, now let's say we're going to round it the nearest 10,000th location. Okay, so 22,347,917. This is the nearest 10,000 location. All right. So looking at the number to the right, it is bigger than 5. So we're going to round up. So we leave the front numbers alone. To round up, we add 1 to that digit. Everything else after that becomes a 0. All right. Now, we're going to move on to subtraction. If you need some more problems that show how to do addition, just let me know in the comment section below and I'll try to make you another video with some more problems to do. But like I said, there's problems for you to practice. There's a link to 19 problems for you to practice adding and subtracting in the description. So if you're just wanting more practice, don't forget the problems linked in there and with the solutions. But if you need another video, let me know. Now, we are going to practice subtracting. Just like kind of comparable to when we added, if it went over 10, then we had to carry. right, to the next location. Sometimes when we subtract, we have to borrow from the location next door. Okay, so let's see how this is doing. If I'm going to try to subtract 247 from 439, we start with the ones. 9 minus 7 is 2. Because 7 is smaller than 9, this is looking pretty good. I can't take 3 and subtract 4 because 3 is too small. 4 is bigger. We're not doing negative numbers yet. Okay, so if you're thinking, well, 3 minus 4 and you have another answer, that's much later. Okay, now, so 3 is too small, so we're going to borrow. So what we're going to do is borrow from the next door to the left. So borrowing 1 leaves you 3 here, and you carry over 10 tenths, okay? Because you borrowed 100. So borrowing 100 is 10 tenths. So some people just put the 1 right here next to the 3 and think 13. And some people rewrite it and put 13. It's totally up to you. It's how you want to do it. But pick a way and kind of stick with it. Okay, so whether you're writing out the whole 13 or putting the 1 next to the 3, 13 minus 4 is 9. And then 3 minus 2 is 1. All right. If they use the word subtract as opposed to just writing it out with, you know, this way where it's just all the math is already showing up, if they're going to ask you in English to subtract 3,098 from 7,014, it's important about the order that the English words come in and which English word they're using. Because subtracting 3,098 from 7,014 is implying that you started out with a 7,014 and you subtracted this number from it. Don't get caught in the error that says, well, we always subtract the smaller one from the bigger one. Because like I said, there's negative numbers we're going to cover much later. If you said negative up in here with 3 minus 4, that's later. All right. Now, subtract means one thing. If they had asked for the difference of these, if they had used that word, they would have asked you for the difference of 7,014 and 3098. So be careful, okay? When this says subtract 3,098 from 7,014, this is where you start, okay? And if it uses the word difference, the first number they list is the one you start with. So subtract from means that's where you start with the from. Difference says do whatever they're asked, the difference in the order that they asked it. So 7,014 would be the first one, and that's important. Okay, that's a little tiny detail that makes the difference between you getting the right answer and the wrong answer. Here we go. So I am attempting to take 8 away from 4, and 4 is too small. So I'm going to borrow. So if I borrow this one, there's nothing left. I can put the 1 here and think of that as 14, right? Or if that is not working for you, you can make this be 14. It's, like I said, totally your call. So 14 minus 8 is 6. Okay. Now moving on, I can't take 9 away from 0. And I can't borrow from its next door neighbor because that's a 0. There's nothing there. So I'm going to come all the way down here and borrow from the 7. That would leave me 6. So I carry 10 over. Okay. So now I've got 1 0, which is 10. And then I'm going to borrow from it and taking 1 away and leaving 9 and bringing the 1 over here. So that's 7. Okay. I took 1 away from this and came and carried it over to here, leaving 10. Then I borrowed 1 from that and carried it over here. Now remember, this was already a 0 because I'd borrowed. All right, here we go. So 10 minus 9 is 1. 9 minus 0 is 9. 6 minus 3 is 3. All right. What if they said find the difference of 243 and 58? When they use the word difference, you do it in the order they write it down. Okay. I can't take 8 away from 3, so I'm going to borrow. Leaves this a 3. I bring 1 over or 10 over. You're actually bringing 10 over, but most people say bring over the 1. All right. This is 13. You can write 13 if you want. 8 from 13 is 5. I cannot take 5 away from 3, so I borrow. 5 from 13 is 8, and nothing from 1 is 185. I should make them all the same color. All right. Let's try, if I can get way back up here. Some problems written out in English called story problems, probably your favorite thing ever. Okay. And so, but they do have a lot of story problems because math is helpful if you can use it in everyday life, and everyday life is a series of stories. Okay, so here's a story. Celia has agreed to gather 300 pounds of apples from the orchard and be paid $25. As she picks the apples, she places them in a basket. When the basket is full, she weighs it and empties it at the roadside stand. So far, her baskets have been weighed and found to contain 82, 67, and 95 pounds. How many more pounds must she gather for the 300 pounds required? Okay, and okay, for some reason, I don't have S's on the ends of these pounds. All right, but we're going to do the math. Now, this being stories, there's a lot of story in here, but it's interesting, I guess, but it totally is just kind of a distraction to what we're trying to do. All of this is not necessary. I don't even necessarily care that she was collecting apples. All I care about is she was supposed to get 300 pounds and she'll be paid $25, and she's already gathered 82, 67, and 95. All right. So let's see how much she's gathered all together to see if she's made it yet or not. All right. So 2 plus 7 is 9, plus 5 is 14. Okay. 1 plus 8 is 9, plus 6 is 15, plus 9 is 24. Now, if you want to, just saying, you could have taken this 9 and this one and made it 10, and 10 plus 8 is 18, plus 6 is 24. It doesn't matter how you add them together. You just have to add them accurately. So she has gathered 244 pounds so far, so she's short. So let's see how much she still has to gather. So 300 minus 244. All right. I can't take 4 away from 0, and the next door neighbor is also a 0, so I can't borrow from that. So here's 2. We carry 1 over. That's going to make this 10. Then we borrow from it, making it 9, and we have 10 all the way down here. All right, so 4 from 10 is 6, 4 from 9 is 5, and 2 minus 2 is 0. So she still has to get 56 pounds of apples to get her 300 pounds so she can get $25. So that $25 really didn't enter in anything. It's just kind of part of the story. All right, let's look over here. Parker takes a couple of jobs to pay some debts he owes his friends. He makes $1,565. He owes $860, $105, and $375 to 3 friends, but then a 4th friend pays him $40 for the debt he owes Parker. How much money does Parker have, if any, after he has paid his debts? Okay, this should be an A. I guess I need to proofread these better. All right, so that'll be my next task. All right. Let's see how much he owes so that we can see if it's over or under that $1,565. So he owes $860, $105, and $375. Okay, 5 plus 5 is 10. We carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. Plus 7 is 14. Write the 4 down, carry the 1. 1 plus 8 is 9, plus another 1 is 10, plus 3 is 13. So he owes $1,340. Well, okay, that's less than 1,565, so it looks like he might have some money left over. So let's see. He has 1,565. He is going to pay out $1,340. So 5 minus 0 is 5. 6 minus 4 is 2. 5 minus 3 is 2. So he has $225 left of the money that he earned in the odd jobs. But he had a friend pay him back $40. So he had his $225 plus the $40 that his friend paid him. And 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 4 is 6. 200. So total, he has $265. So I hope that helped. I hope this brings up and reminds you some of the details from adding and subtracting whole numbers. Again, like I said, there's practice problems. There's a link to that in the description. There's a link to the entire playlist. And so let me know if you need some more problems for me to demonstrate, or if you have some requests, just put a note in the comments. And thanks for watching.